Are you looking for all the latest pro football news and content? Of course you are. Who doesn't love football? The question is, how do you get all the latest pro football news and content? There's so many different pro football podcasts on the internet. Which one do you choose? Which one is the right fit for you? Well, you go with the Cross the Middle Show, one of the fastest growing football podcasts out right now. Over the past year, we've climbed the Spotify rankings to become a show you have to listen to if you're a football fan. Find out if the Ravens will go all the way with Odell Beckham Jr., find out if the Eagles did enough to make it back to the Super Bowl. You'll get all of our best stories for just $1 per month. All you have to do is sign up by clicking the link in the episode description box. It's John Kuzma. This is the Cross the Middle Show, where we discuss all the latest pro football news and action. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have two stories coming at you today. We have the Chris Jones story. Then we're going to talk about Marcus Peters. So let's start with Chris Jones. Chris Jones is holding out. He's not reporting to camp. Wants a new deal. It's rumored that Chris Jones wants to make $30 million per year. So defensive tackles aren't like running backs at all. Defensive tackles are, being paid. These defensive linemen are being taken care of. That's why Chris Jones wants $30 million. And, there's a chance that he might get it because these defensive linemen are cashing in, like I said, and Chris Jones is a hell of a football player. We all know that. We all know the impact that he has for the Chiefs, how good he is on that defensive front, the pressure that he puts on the quarterback. He's, the alpha dog of that defense, like we always talk about, which guy's the alpha dog, which means the best player on that defensive unit. Chris Jones is that guy, no doubt about that. For the Chiefs, everybody's job is easier because of Chris Jones. And I don't know if, that Chiefs defense is the same team if you take him out of the equation. He has them in Super Bowls, winning Super Bowls, and playing at a high level on the defense side of the ball. He helps Steve Spagnuolo execute his game plan. Without Chris Jones, it's very unlikely the Chiefs would be able to do that. So, Andy Reid was a little bit surprised. He was surprised that, Chris Jones didn't show up and, that he's holding out and wants a new deal. Not only that, the fact that Chris Jones wants to be paid so much money, but for Chris Jones, he's delivered for the Chiefs. He feels like now's the time for him to get it while the getting is good, wants to be paid and wants to be paid handsomely. So that's where we're at with the Chris Jones situation. Will the Chiefs step up and give him what he wants? They have a lot of big-time pieces on that team that need to be taken care of. When you have a championship team, someone always ends up getting trimmed out of the equation because, you have so many good players and such a collection of talent that someone always gets left out. That's the way these things always happen when you have, the salary cap and teams have to get under that salary cap. I don't think the Chiefs will move on from Chris Jones. I just don't see that happening. I see them, working it out somehow. Then again, $30 million is a lot to pay one player, especially a defensive tackle. At the same time, though, this isn't a normal situation. Chris Jones is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Outside of Aaron Donald, who's the guy? It's Chris Jones. There's no doubt about that. So we have to see, do the Chiefs step up and just say, hey, let's write a blank check and get it done because we have to keep Chris Jones around if we want to keep winning the Super Bowl? Or do they try to negotiate and get him to take a little bit less, see if they can get him down to $25 million, $20 million, whatever that number ends up being for the Chiefs that they need to get it at in order to, keep all their top playmakers. Tough decisions have to be made when you're running a team and when you're a general manager. You have to find a way to keep everybody, happy. And sometimes that means, getting guys to come to the negotiation table and, getting them to hash out a contract that is the best for both sides. That's where the Chiefs find themselves. I know one thing, you have to keep Chris Jones if you want to be a dynasty. The Chiefs need to win another Super Bowl, to get that third Super Bowl. And really, I consider them a dynasty already. They've made it to, 3 Super Bowls, won 2 of them. I consider them a dynasty. Another one really solidifies them as a dynasty. I just don't see that happening if Chris Jones isn't there. That's how good he is. That's how much he brings to the table for the Chiefs. So, yeah, the Chiefs are going to have to do something. They have to reel him in. They have to get him into camp and make sure that he's getting reps and he's up to game speed, because if you start missing practices and you start missing reps, what happens is you're not in game shape. And game shape is a different type of shape. You can be in the weight room all you want. You can be on the treadmill all you want, but game shape is a different type of shape because it's not just your athletic motor, it's also your instincts. And you have to get your instincts up to speed by getting those reps in practice and, just by practicing flowing to the plays and, reading pulling guards and, just getting used to, how the offense executes, whether it's a bootleg, a play action. You get used to reading those things as a defender from going through it so much at practice that you start to get smart and get hip to what they're trying to do on the other side of the ball. Then that helps you with your instincts when you get to the games. There's no doubt every single player has to do those things in order to be the best version of themselves. Chris Jones is no different. Even though Chris Jones is cut from a different cloth, even though he's the best defensive tackle besides, Aaron Donald, if he starts missing reps, if he's not in game shape, then he's not going to be at his very best, which hurts the team as a whole because they need him to be at that next level in order to be competing for Super Bowls. If they want to win a championship, if they want to be the same Chiefs that we're used to seeing, out there, they need Chris Jones to be at the top of his game. The only way that happens is by getting him into practice. So is $30 million the magic number for Chris Jones and the Chiefs? We're going to find out soon. We're going to see if they deliver for Chris Jones and say, hey, we're not going to argue with you too much about this. We're going to give you the $30 million, or we're going to see if they can get him to come down to 25 or whatever number that may be. That's where we're at with the Chris Jones situation. The other story we have is Marcus Peters. So Marcus Peters was a free agent, and he left the Ravens, and now he's signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders are getting a ball hawk, a guy that has so many interceptions in the National Football League, such an instinctive defensive back that has a knack for breaking on passes, big play guy, always seems to come up with big plays, great cover corner, does such a good job of just jumping routes and competing at a high level. I think that's the big thing with Marcus Peters is he always competes. He always leaves it all out on the field. It's all about, doing whatever he can to, deliver for his team and come through when those clutch moments matter the most. That's why I appreciate Marcus Peters' game because, he's laying it all on the line for his team. So tough. And he usually steps up pretty big. This past year with the Ravens, he was balling out. There's no doubt about that. He was stepping up play after play for them and doing a great job of, being a veteran that still competes at a high level. Sometimes at the cornerback position, it's easy to fall off because, it's such a fast twitch position because you're backpedaling, basically running backwards, while these wide receivers, who are the best athletes on the team a lot of the times, are running forwards. So they're running forward. So it's easy to get burned as a defensive back. The position's kind of set up for you to fail. You just have to minimize those failures. And when you do get beat, we always say cornerbacks have to have a short memory because the game is kind of designed for them to get beat because they're running backwards. Imagine running backwards and trying to cover Tyreek Hill. That's what these cornerbacks are asked to do. Well, Marcus Peters, even though he's getting a little bit older now, he really hasn't lost a step. I mean, he can still get in there and, battle till the whistle blows. And breaking up passes, jumping routes, making those tough interceptions in crunch time to help bail his team out. That's Marcus Peters all the way. And this is a guy that is a big-time Raiders fan. He grew up in Oakland. He rooted for the Raiders when he was a kid. He was a Raiders fan through and through. So for him to go to the Raiders, now they're in Las Vegas now, but still that was his hometown team when he was growing up in Oakland. So I'm excited about that, for him to go play for the Raiders after he watched them as a kid growing up, rooted for the Raiders. Now he is a Raider. I think that's a pretty cool storyline for Marcus Peters. I think he's still got something left in the tank that's going to actually help the Raiders because the guy can still cover. I mean, I'm telling you guys, there's still some left in the tank. He's going to be fine. He's going to help the Raiders get better in that secondary. No doubt about that. With the defensive front they have, they're going to be tough. You got Max Crosby, Chandler Jones. I think those guys are going to be even better this up and coming year. Just because, Chandler Jones is there for another year, so he's going to be more familiar with what's expected of him. So he should be a little bit better. Marcus Peters, you add him to that defense, suddenly more passes are getting broke up. Suddenly he's going to jump some passes. He's capable of going the distance when he does jump a pass, and he can go all the way for a pick six. The guy can do it all. And like I said, one of the best compliments you can give Marcus Peters is he always steps up when it matters the most. So when it's late in the game and, that defense has to make a stand and the game is riding on the line, Marcus Peters can make that game-winning interception to seal the deal and, make sure that, that's it for the opposing team. That's who Marcus Peters is. He's going to continue to do that with the Raiders. I'm certain of that. I'm excited to watch him play for the Raiders. I think this is a nice little upgrade for them. To be able to get him as a free agent and bring him over and have a guy that can, do his thing and, bring a little bit of swagger to the back end of that defense. It's going to change things for the better for the Raiders. I like this signing. I like the fact that they went out and got Marcus Peters because the guy can ball. There's no doubt about that. That's all I got for this latest episode of the Cross the Middle Show. I'm John Kuzma. Sign up for $1 per month. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm signing off. Have a great night.